Welcome back to the Blind Eternities. My name is Jake. I'm a park ranger here. Let me be the first to say, we're glad to have you back. I don't know how long it's been since the last time you played Magic, but I think I can safely say the game is a little bit bigger now than it was when you were playing, a little more complex. The community is probably also a little more varied, and there's probably a lot more voices saying the game is dying. Today I want to talk about coming back to Magic after a long hiatus. I think when we come back to something like Magic the Gathering, it's important to remember that whenever we leave a hobby or an activity for an extended period of time, we tend to fall out of habits with it. We get a little out of shape. And maybe at one point you were familiar with the Blind Eternities. Every rock, every twig, every tree. You knew every flavor text, every powerful deck, every archetype that was used in all of the formats. But when we come back to the game, a lot of that changes. And it can be hard to find our place, to orient yourself in the new metagame, the new structure of Magic the Gathering. And so I think it's important that we take a breath and start slow. Look for something that aligns with what we like about the game. Let's take a moment to think about why we left, so we know what to look for when we come back. Because I firmly believe that Magic the Gathering as a game has everything you could look for in a game. And sometimes it just needs the right deck, or the right people, or the right local game store to really make that click. And so to know what we're looking for, we want to look back and understand why we left. So let's start with the easy one. We needed the money. Either we were investing in Magic and decided it was a good time to leave the market, or we just needed a little bit of extra cash for a new baby, or a new house, or a new car, or some unexpected medical expenses, whatever it may be. We had to sell our collection. Maybe not all of it, but enough that we stepped away from the game for a while. And now we're back. Magic the Gathering is in a really good place financially right now. And I know if you look at the most competitive decks, and if you look at the things that are winning tournaments, and the things that people show off online, it looks like an extremely expensive hobby. But it doesn't have to be. And I will say at a lot of those extremely competitive tables, depending on what format you're in, specifically if you're playing Commander, people are much more accepting of proxies. So take your time. Figure out what you're looking for. You can get a casual deck together for 10 to 15 bucks, and it'll be playable on the table. Go to a local game store and find some other people with low-powered stuff, and you can still have a great time. You can rediscover a love for the game. And then over time, slowly build that collection back up, hunting for exactly what you want to play the game that you want to play. And if you are looking to invest in the game again, well, it's still going strong. If you look at some of those old mainstay cards that are playable in multiple formats and are on the reserve list or have a low chance of being reprinted, they are steadily climbing. You see those values gradually going up year over year. And occasionally you can speculate on something that has massive price jumps out of nowhere. But those are generally hard to predict and require a level of understanding of the game that it can be hard to get in early enough to actually make good money on it. So unless you're really going to delve into that, I would generally advise against it. And if you do decide to buy secret layers and things that are limited and hold on to them and just keep them away from the general Magic community, I don't really like that aspect of the game. I don't like scalping. I think that that is an extremely negative aspect to the hobby, and it's detrimental to the game as a whole. So please don't do that. I'm begging you, because it's terrible. But what if you didn't leave Magic because of the money? What if you left because of the gameplay? You didn't like the competitiveness, you didn't like the formats that were popular, you didn't enjoy the things that your local game shop hosted. Well, it's time to address the elephant in the room. Most places where you play Magic today, people will be playing Commander. It's the most popular format by far in Magic the Gathering, but it's popular for a good reason. It allows you to use your entire collection, so all of those old cards that you still have on hand, still usable. In many cases, still optimal. And in those Commander decks, there is a wide variety of strategies that you can employ at a wide variety of levels of competitiveness. There's people that enforce a strictly casual level at their tables, and others that play as competitively as possible. There's some pros and cons to all of this, obviously, and if you were looking for one of the more classic formats, standard, modern, pauper, you can find those. I remember growing up and having to drive half an hour to the local game store that would only occasionally host events, didn't have a lot of Magic singles, mostly sealed product. I remember going once a month or every 2 months to a large festival type area where you could buy singles and buy discounted product, buying booster boxes of cards and really trying to flesh out a collection. The access that both the internet and the number of local game stores provides is pretty unparalleled today. I think we're in a point where you can build the deck that you want to build. And sometimes it might cost a little bit of money, but even then, people are fairly accepting of proxied cards right now. So try it out. Proxy up a deck and see if you like it. Taste test it. And if you decide you do, you can start picking up those pieces one by one over time. Remember, this isn't a race. Take your time. Find what you enjoy. Find a format, group of people, and store that work for you. And then start getting back into Magic. And I think that brings us to our last broad point. And that's the community. The people that play the game. Both locally, around you, and virtually. There's a lot of ways of engaging with Magic. And I think right now, it's about as good as it's ever been. So, if you left Magic because of the community, whether that community wasn't welcoming or that community just drifted apart, whatever the case, right now you can find the right community for you. You can find your base camp. I would encourage you to think about what you like about the game, the type of game you want to play, the type of environment in which you want to play, and then start trying things out. Like I said, there's a lot of stores out there, and they all feel a little bit different. I'd encourage you not to discount the way that you feel when you walk into a shop. First impressions are important, and I think there's things that grab onto us in a positive way, and there's other things that tend to repel us. And I think that's good. I think it's important to have those guardrails. Understand what you're looking for. Try things out, and if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. And that's okay. But like I said, Magic right now is bigger than it has ever been. And there's a lot of different options. If you can't find something in your area, there's online communities, Discord groups, ways of playing online through Spelltable and Magic Arena and Magic Online. There are endless possibilities for getting back into the game of Magic the Gathering and finding like-minded people that play the way that you want to play. And now, I want to take a moment to walk through my own history. Talk about why I stepped away from Magic and what brought me back. Because I don't think I'm all that special. And I think a lot of people have the same experience. And the beauty of Magic is that you can always come back. There's always opportunities to play the game and meet new people. As you may know, I started playing Magic the Gathering in 1999. This was when Mercadian Masks came out. I have a video up about my brother and I and how we got started, but we played pretty casually for 5 or 6 years, and I started getting more competitive in around 2005, 2006. A little bit later on, in 2009, after playing for about a decade, we fell off of the game. I got busy with work out of college and didn't really have a lot of time to play. A few years later, my gaming group decides that they kind of wanted to get back into trading cards. They hadn't played anything in a while, and Magic was the one that they landed on as kind of being a hobby that they wanted to engage with. So I started playing Magic with them in about 2016, but I didn't buy any new cards until, I want to say Dominaria? Might be the first time I bought new cards. It might have even been after that. But I had a fairly long hiatus from the game. And what was weird to me is even in that interim, when I wasn't buying new cards, and I was just using the same decks that I had on hand, I was still having a really good time. Because Magic to me is about tinkering with decks and building them and brewing them, but more than that, it's about playing with other people, sitting at the table across from friends and chatting while you play the game. That's what I love about Magic the Gathering, and that's what brought me back. That circle of friends all playing Magic together. Recently, I've been more into buying new product, actually playing the game at drafts and sealed tournaments, and I've really enjoyed it. But it's funny to look back and see that the aspects of the game that I was looking for, I had all along. I could play the game that I enjoyed with the people that I enjoyed without spending a dime. And that's why I am confident that long into the future, whether Wizards of the Coast keeps making new Magic product or not, I will still be playing this game. I have a collection that can support many, many decks, many, many different ways of playing. And even when you look at something like pre-modern, a format that doesn't even use new cards, the new developments that come, the new strategies and archetypes that rise and fall over time, give me hope for this game. That no matter what happens, no matter why you have to leave, you can always come back. And there will always be people willing to sit down and play with you. I really like Magic, and I could see myself playing this game forever. Thanks for talking.